For 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right. Good morning, brooks of Inachus that nurture the Pelasgian soil. It was from here that Agamemnon, leader of men, set sail with 1,000 ships for Troy. The warlord Ares filled his sails and the hearts of his men. Then, when he killed Priam and captured the splendid city of Dardanus, he came back here to Argos and graced its high temples with all the spoils he tore away from the barbarians. But though fate was with him in the battlefield, here, back home, in the halls of his own palace, he wasn't so fortunate. His wife, Clytemnestra, and her lover, Aegisthus, Thyestes' son, trapped him in a treacherous net and murdered him. So now the royal scepter of Tantalus is in the hands of a new lord in Argos, Aegisthus, and he now rules with Clytemnestra, Tyndareus' daughter, and Agamemnon's wife. Now, when Agamemnon left for Troy, he left behind 2 children, a boy, Orestes, and a girl, Elektra. Now, as for Orestes, his father's old tutor stole him away, took him to Strophius to be raised in Phocis, far away. The girl, though, Elektra by name, she stayed at home in her father's palace. And when the tender, youthful age bloomed within her, suitors from the whole of Hellas came seeking her hand in marriage. Oh, these were men of the highest caliber, noble men. But Aegisthus was greatly afeard that if Elektra married one of these noblemen, she might bear him a son who one day might try and avenge her father's murder. So he kept her at home, taking away the opportunity for her to mate with one of these noblemen. Oh, but this was an unsatisfactory solution, for you see, there was an even greater danger that she might bear some children to a nobleman in secret. So Aegisthus had the idea of killing her. But her mother, though she is a cruel woman, she saved her from his murderous hands. You see, as far as her own murder of Agamemnon was concerned, well, she felt she had some adequate excuse, seeing as he had sacrificed their daughter, Iphigenia, to Artemis, the goddess of the wild. But to kill her own children, this was something even she would not do, in case there might arise in the city great resentment against her. So Thyestes came up with a new plan. He put up a reward for whoever would kill the exiled Orestes. And as for Elektra, well, he gave it to me to marry. You see, in his eyes, though I am of an indisputably good Argive stock, I am, alas, a poor man. And in his eyes, a poor man is a weak man. And a weak man can't be a noble man. And a weak man also means a weak fear for him. So you see, I am weak, and he is less afraid. Oh, there is fear in Aegisthus, that if some nobleman married Elektra, well, the whole shameful act of Agamemnon's murder would be awakened from its slumber, and Aegisthus would not escape his due punishment. Now, I swear by Aphrodite that I have done nothing to dishonor this girl. No, she is still a virgin. You see, I too am an honorable man, and my own sense of honor prohibits me from dishonoring this girl from a wealthy and noble family. In my mind, it's just not right, and so I've avoided her bed. Then there's Orestes. Well, I would feel terribly sorry for him if, when he comes home, he should discover that his brother-in-law is such a lowly creature as myself, and that his sister is so unlucky in her marriage. And if anyone thinks that I am a fool for bringing into my house such a lovely young virgin like Elektra, legitimately, and let's say not making good and proper use of the situation, well, to that man I say this: these are that man's own views of what constitutes modest behavior and not mine. And he's wrong. He's the damn fool that has such views.
Greetings, Black Knight that nurtures the golden stars. I walk into you with this water urn on my head to get water from the stream. Not because I have to, but because I want to show the gods of Aegisthus' shameful insolence towards me, and to raise my voice of grief to the broad heavens for my father to hear. My despicable mother, Tyndareus' daughter Clytemnestra, has thrown me out of the house to please her husband, and now has other children by him. Orestes, my brother, and I, of course, are treated as illegitimate.
Oh, why do you do this? Why do you do this, you poor creature? A delicately raised young girl like yourself, you shouldn't do all this hard work for me. I told you, you don't have to.
I do it because you're more than a mere husband to me. You're a god. A god because in my hour of despair you have not tried to take advantage of me. It's a wonderful thing that when people like me find themselves in such a predicament, there are people like you ready to help them out of it. So, even though I don't have to, I think of it as my duty to take some part of your workload and make it easier for you. You do enough work outside the house. I should at least work towards keeping it nice inside. It's a pleasant thing for a man to find his home comfortable and tidy after a hard day's work.
Very well, Elektra, if you wish. Go ahead. In fact, the spring is nearby. Oh, I see John will soon emerge. I should put those cattle out to pasture, and I need to plant those new fields. You know what they say, when a man is lazy, no matter how many hairs he utters, he'd still go hungry if he doesn't do the work.
The lady's my best friend. You've stuck with me more faithfully than all of the others. You've stuck with me through my many tribulations, and often you've even let me stay in your own home with you. You know very well how terrible the tribulations that I suffer from Aegisthus are. He, my murder-loving mother, slaughtered my father. I've just come from the temple of Apollo, where I had performed the appropriate rites. And it is he, Apollo, who has sent me here. And so here I am, standing on Argos' soil, without one Argive knowing it. What I want to do is make equal payment to my father's murderers. Murder for murder. Before that, I visited my father's grave, made an offering of my tears and of a lock of my hair. I also sacrificed a lamb and offered its blood to him. Murderers who rule and tyrannize the people of Argos know nothing of this. For now, I won't set foot upon the Argive jurisdiction for two reasons. In case I'm recognized, I can flee quickly and be on another land. And secondly, because I want to find my sister. They say she's now married and no longer a virgin. What I want to do is find her, convince her to become my accomplice when I commit the twin murder. I also want to find out from a reliable source how things are inside the city. Anyway, I can see the brilliant face of dawn is rising, so let us move away from the path. Perhaps some farmer or woman servant will happen by, and we can ask them if Elektra lives near. Look, ladies! A woman carrying a water urn on her head. Let us hide well, in case we hear something that will help us in our quest.
Come, girl, move. Move on to the beat of your rushing tears. Agamemnon is your father, and Tyndareus' hateful daughter Clytemnestra is your mother. A mother, a murderer. All the Argives here call me misery. My work is hard. My life is appalling. Dearest father Agamemnon, Hades has you now because of the dire deed done to you by your wife and her lover Aegisthus. Come, girl, move. Let your cheeks be furrowed by the rush of more tears. Cry yet again. Oh, how lovely feels this flood of tears. Come, girl, move. Hurry, girl, hurry. Move on. Move on to the beat of my rushing tears. Orestes is my brother. Orestes is in exile, living in a foreign land in a strange house, wandering in exile. And I, his wretched sister, was left behind inside our father's walls, tortured by unfathomable misfortune. Come now, Orestes, and stop the great flood of tears and the great furrowing of my cheeks. With the help of Zeus, bring our father's justice to him, vengeance to the murderers. Come now, Orestes, hurry. Come to Argos, our city. Come, boy. Take this urn from me and put it down so that I may cry more easily and so that my tears will reach my father before dawn. Father! 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 I shout my lament. Shout it out loud so that you will hear it down there, deep, deep beneath the earth. I shout my despair all day long. All day long I shout my despair every day. The grief, my dearest father, tears at my throat. The grief, my dearest father, beats down upon my head. Unfathomable grief, my father, at your death. Father, 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 sorrow strikes my head. God, just as the hapless swan sings out loudly for her father, for he too was murdered in a watery trap of deadly nets. Just so I sing this song, my father, my melancholy song for you. Father, Father, Father. Bitter was the crash that the axe that fell upon your head, dear father. Bitter and murderous. Bitter was the plot of the assassins when you returned from Troy. A bitter two-edged sword and not a crown welcomed you, father. And it was her, and not her lover, who spun enough courage to perform the murderous deed. Aegisthus then became her man.
She can't just hide out in this little shack. Elektra, daughter of Agamemnon, I have come to your house to tell you that a Mycenaean mountain man and a lover of milk came down and brought us the news that in 2 days' time the Argives will be celebrating a feast where all the virgins will be marching to Hera's temple.
Yes. No, dear friends. This festival is not for someone whose heart is too sad, whose days and nights are too damp with tears. No fine jewels, no fine dresses for me. Nor will I dance and twirl and stamp my feet along with the other Argive girls. Dressed in tatters and hair a mess, Look at me. How would Agamemnon feel if he saw his daughter looking like this? And how would the whole of Troy feel to know that she was conquered by the father of such a sad creature?
Our goddess is great, Elektra. Come now and borrow some of my clothes. A fine, beautifully woven gown and a golden necklace. Oh, how the feast will enjoy your presence. Yes, tears alone will not defeat your enemies, Elektra, but honoring the gods' will.
Yes, ma'am.
Send prayers to the gods, not sighs, and success will come to you.
Yes,
Praise
praise
be.
My prayers are not heeded by any of the gods, my friends. Nor do they care about my father who was murdered so long ago. I cry for my murdered father and for my brother who's in exile. Far from his home, far from his true station of a glorious king's son. And I too live in a peasant's hut on a small plot of mountain ground with a torn heart. In exile too from my father's house. While my mother lies as wife to a justice in a bed stained full of my father's blood.
Oh, many are the ills for which Greece can blame your mother's sister, Helen.
Yes,
Oh no,
ma'am.
my friends, enough crying now. I see strangers appear from behind the altar near my house. Let's escape them. You run that way along the path, and I'll run into the house.
Stay, poor creature. Do not be afraid of me.
Oh, Phoebus Apollo, let me not be killed.
There are other far greater enemies than you that I would kill.
Let go. Do not touch. It's not right for you to touch.
No one else I could touch with greater right.
But my wait for my house was sword in hand.
Stay. Hear what I have to say. You will understand me.
All right, I shall. You're far stronger than I am.
I've come with news. About your brother.
Oh, dear friend, is he alive or dead?
Tell you the good news first. He lives.
Oh, bless you with all your sweet words.
They would both be blessed.
In what bitter exile is the poor man wandering?
He is a lost soul wandering from one city to the next.
Does he lack his daily food?
No, he does not. But one is weak when one lives in exile.
What then is the reason he has sent you?
To find out if you're alive and well. To see what sort of life you lead.
Look at me then. Look who I have withered.
Misery has hurt you so much. And I feel like crying.
My hair's cut short and kept wrapped.
The loss of your father and your brother is your great burden.
Oh, who could be dearer to me than those two?
What do you think of your brother?
He's too far to be my support.
Why do you live so far from the city?
I've made a marriage, Fred, that is more like death than marriage.
Ah, I pity your brother. Is your husband from Mycenae?
Yes, but he's not the sort of man my father would have me marry.
Tell me all that you can, so that I can convey everything to your brother.
I live there, far from the city.
A shack like this is proper only for diggers and cowherds.
True, he's poor, but he's from a good family and he respects me.
Respect. How does he show you respect?
He has not yet approached my bed.
Is that because he's sworn an oath to the gods? Or doesn't he find you attractive?
He doesn't feel it's right to insult my parents.
How is it he didn't enjoy you once he married you?
He doesn't regard as my master the man who gave me to him.
I see. He's afraid he'll be punished by Orestes.
That too. But he's a kind man as well.
Such a good man, your husband. He deserves a good reward.
Yes, and he will receive it once my brother returns.
What does your mother make of all this?
My friend, women love their men more than their children.
Why has Aegisthus shamed you so?
He wanted me to give birth to a common child, so he gave me to a common man.
Obviously, so that you wouldn't bear children who would exact revenge.
And that's what he thought. But he'll pay for it heavily.
Does he know you're still a virgin?
No. It's a secret. We won't tell him.
These women who are listening to us, Can they be trusted?
Yes. They can hold the secret well.
If Aegisthus comes to Argos, what can he do?
You're asking me about that? Shame, so he's not coming then?
How will he kill your father's murderers?
By doing what they did to my father.
You kill your mother, along with Aegisthus?
With the very axe that my father was slaughtered.
I'll tell him that. You won't be changing your mind, will you?
Let me kill my mother and then let me die.
Only Orestes could see you now.
Even if I saw him, friend, I would not recognize him.
Well, that's not strange at all. You were young when you were separated.
There's only one person from our lot who could recognize him.
The man who, as they say, saved Orestes from the murderer.
Yes, my father's old too.
Does your father have a grave?
Yes, a rather pitiful one. They've placed it far from the palace.
What is this you're telling me? Sadness bites the mortal's heart, even when the sadness is of other people. Tell me then, the bitter words I should take to your brother, the ones he needs to hear. The ignorant do not sympathize, yet the knowledgeable suffer for having knowledge.
I need to know as well. I live far from the city, and I don't know what she's going through. Now, I want to know everything.
I shall speak, if I must. And to a friend I must speak about this heavy fate that came upon me and my father. And since you made me make this speech, I beg you, stranger, tell Orestes of this hard fate that befell me and my father. Begin with how I'm dressed. Look at my clothes. Tell him of the great despair that has overtaken me, and in what sort of house I live now compared to the palaces I used to live once. Now I make my clothes myself. Otherwise I'd have no clothes to wear and I'd be left naked. I carry water from the stream. I never go to any festivals or religious celebrations. Being a virgin, I'm ashamed to be around other women. And I'm ashamed to know that Castor, before the gods took him, was my suitor since he was king. Yet my mother, adorned in Phrygian gold, sits on a throne surrounded by the Asian slaves my father brought home. Slaves wearing gowns from Ida, pinned with golden brooches. My father's blood is still rotten black in our palace halls, and his murderer runs around in my father's chariots, and with puffed up pride carries in his bloody hand the scepter that once, when it was held by my father, ruled the army of Greece. And his tomb, abandoned, still has not received either libations nor branches of myrtle. It's a deserted place with no adornments. They tell me my mother's husband now, when he is drunk, jumps up and down on my father's grave and throws stones at his tombstone, yelling, "Where is your Orestes now? Is he standing by your tomb defending it?" These are the sort of insults he casts at him who is absent. I beg you, stranger, tell my brother all this, because there are many who beg him to return, and I am never. Here, look, my hands, my tongue, my hapless heart, and Agamemnon, his father, all beg him to return. Because it's a great shame that while his famous father destroyed Troy, he, in the spring of his youth, is not able to kill one man.
Here's your husband, Elektra. He's finished his work.
Who are these men standing by the door of my house? Why have they come here to my poor rustic house? Are they after me? Elektra! It's a shame for a woman to be standing around talking with young men.
Don't be suspicious, husband. You'll learn immediately what we were talking about. These strangers were sent from Orestes, and they brought me messages from him. Huge messengers. Forgive him for what he said just now.
Well, what did they say? Is he alive? Does he see the sun?
They said he lives, and I believe them.
Well, does he feel your father suffering and yours?
I hope so. But the exiled man is weak.
Well, what news did they bring from Orestes?
He sent these men to find out about me.
Well, You can tell by some of your despair, the rest they can see for themselves.
They know it all. There are no secrets left.
Well, shouldn't we open the door of our house to them then? Come then, strangers. Come in, and I shall repay your kind words with whatever hospitality my poor house can afford. Attendants, bring their things inside. Now don't refuse me. You have come from a friend, and so you are friends. And you are most welcome. Though I was born in poverty, I will not be seen as poor in spirit.
By the gods! Is this the man who keeps your marriage a secret so as not to insult Orestes?
Yes, this is the man they call my husband.
It is impossible to judge a man's virtue with accuracy. There's always great confusion in the nature of mortals. I myself have seen worthless children born of a virtuous man, and from evil parents born brilliant children. I've seen a small, poor mind in a wealthy man, and the soul of a poor man a great one. How then can we judge a man when we must consider all of these attributes? By wealth? Nah, that would be bad to judge. By poverty? Poverty brings misery, makes the man turn to evil by necessity. Shall I consider arms? You believe that a man is brave simply because he's holding a spear? Far better to leave all of this to fate's judgment. This man here is not great amongst the Argives, nor does he puff out his chest in pride about his ancestors. One can see that he is quite apart from the masses. You, however, who with mindless opinions fall astray, will you never think wisely and consider weighing mortals by their manner, and virtuous among them by their character? These are the men that govern their cities and houses well. Men of good physiques, but who lack thinking, are good only as statues in the marketplace. Nor can a hand, though mighty in spear, stand up against it better than someone weak. Yes, we shall accept your hospitality. It is worthy of the children of Agamemnon, both for Elektra as well as Orestes, who is absent far away, and on whose behalf we come here. Go on then, servants, go inside. So far as I'm concerned, it's better that I am the guest of a willing poor man, rather than a wealthy one. I rejoice at standing in his household. I'd prefer, however, if your brother himself happily invited us into his own prosperous house. Still, you never know, he just might come. Because the prophecies of Apollo are always correct. Whereas the prophecies of man, I do not trust at all.
He is the truth.
Elektra, now more than before do our hearts spark with joy because perhaps fate is moving in the right direction, judging by what he said.
Poor man. You know the poverty of your house, yet you accept these strangers, these men of a much higher status.
Well, what of it, Elektra? If they seem to be men from a good and noble family, well, they'll be just as happy with the little as they would be with the plenty.
Well then, since you made this mistake, poor man, go quickly and find my beloved father's old tutor, who was thrown out of the city and now grazes sheep at Taurus River at the border between Sparta and Argos. Tell him that, now that the strangers are here, to bring some food for him. He'll be overjoyed and thank the gods when he finds out that the child whose life he once saved now lives. Forget about asking my mother. Nothing will come from our father's palaces. Poor woman. We'll be bringing her bitter news, telling her that Orestes is still alive.
Good. All right, then. I shall do as you wish. I will pass your words on to the old man. But meanwhile, you go inside. Prepare the table, and don't be late with it. While a woman can do wonders in the kitchen when the need arises. And I think we still have enough food in the house to adequately see these strangers through for a day or so. Wow, when I think of such things, I see what great power money has. Not only can you help your friends with the stuff, but you can also heal yourself from any illness if you have the money to pay. Yeah. But the cost of an ordinary everyday meal, well, that's cheap enough, since everyone, whether he's rich or poor, once he's had enough, he feels the same joy.
And dancing feet of myriads my noble lady, the daughter of Agamemnon the king, whom I raised all these years ago. Oh. What a steep hill this house is on. Too steep for a bent old man like me. Still, it was necessary that I drag here my bent back and my shaking legs. Oh, daughter, now I can see you beside the doorway. Here, I have brought you a new lamb, which I have just taken away from its mother's teeth. As well, I brought some garlands and some cheeses and, this here treasure, a very old fine wine, of which I made but a little. It's not much, but if you pour but a drop of this into some lesser vintage, well, then you'll be drinking a nice, sweet wine. Here, get someone to take these things to the strangers inside. I want to wipe my tears with my old tattered garments.
But old man, why cry? What is the meaning of your teary look? Is it because you remember my tribulations even though they happened a long time ago? Or are you sighing for Orestes who's in exile? Or is it for my father, who a long time ago you brought up with both your hands, but all to no avail for you or for your friends?
Yes, totally to no avail. Still, I could not take it. I came out of this road and went by your father's tomb, and as I saw it deserted and full of weeds, well, I fell to my knees and cried. I took some of the wine that I brought the strangers, and I poured libations upon it, and I placed branches of myrtle around it. Oh, and just then I saw upon the tomb a black sheep slaughtered, with its blood still fresh spilled, and beside it was a lock of dark hair. And I wondered, my child, who on earth would have the courage to approach the tomb? Perhaps your brother arrived in secret and he honored your father's poor tomb? Here, place this cut hair next to yourn and see if the color matches. It is common that they that have the same father have many similarities all over their bodies.
Your words are not wise, old man, if you're saying that my brave brother came here in secret because he's afraid of Aegisthus. Also, how could the hair of a noble hero raised in the wrestling arena match that of a virgin who combs her hair in a feminine way? Impossible. Magic-colored hair, old father, you'll find on many, but they are not necessarily of the same blood.
Well then, my child, go and look at his footprints. See if they match yourn.
But how is it possible to leave footprints on a rocky ground? In any case, even if it were possible, the feet of two siblings, one male, the other female, wouldn't match. The male feet are always larger.
Yeah. Well, you have weaved him his garments before I snatched him away from the slaughter. Now, will you be able to recognize any of them?
Can you not remember that when you took Orestes, I was still a young girl? And even if I did weave his garments, how could he possibly be wearing the same baby clothes? Unless, of course, clothes and bodies grow together. It must have been some stranger who felt sorry for him and left an offering of his hair, or some local who took a guard with him to help him.
Well, now where are the strangers? I want to see them and ask them questions about your brother.
Here they are. Just came out of the house.
Well, they appear to be from a good family, but I could be wrong. many men have a bad character, even though their parents are nobles. In any case, I greet you, friends.
We greet you too, old man. Elektra, which one of your friends belongs to this old remnant of a man?
Friend, this is the man who reared my father.
Is this right? Is he also the man that saved your brother from certain death?
Yes, he is the one who saved Orestes, and that's why he is still alive.
I see. Why is he staring at me like this? As if he were checking out the bright symbol on a silver coin. Or does he take me for someone I look like?
Perhaps he's rejoicing that you have Orestes' years.
He is confusing me with someone he loves. Why is he walking around me?
I too wonder at this as I see it, friend.
Lady, my darling Elektra, pray to the gods.
For whom? For these who are here, or for those who are not?
Pray that you receive a most precious gift from the gods.
There, I prayed. So, what are you trying to tell me, old friend?
Well, look at this man that you say is your friend, my child.
I've been looking at him for a while now, old friend. Have you gone mad?
Mad? Have I gone mad if I am looking at your brother?
My brother. What an unbelievable word you uttered, old man.
The word I have uttered is that this man here, this man I am looking at, is Orestes.
What proof do you have of this? Show me the sign.
Well, look at his eyebrow. Can you not see there the cut he received when he was little? While you two were chasing a fawn at your father's house.
What? Yes, I can see that.
Oh. Oh, you are taking a long time to fall into the arms of your beloved brother.
Not anymore, old man. My heart has finally recognized the signs you've shown it. My brother, you've taken so many years to come. I hug you in utter disbelief.
I too hug you after so many years.
I never thought this would happen.
Or I never thought this would happen either.
Are you truly Orestes?
I am. And your only support. That is, if the plans I'm hoping to put into place are successful. But no, I'm confident. Otherwise, how can we believe in the gods when justice can triumph over justice?
Oh, Jane, you that have taken so many years to come.
Finally, you have arrived. You dawned and showed the city, Orestes, like a brilliant torch.
Orestes, who's returned to the halls of his father's palace. Orestes, who's been a wandering exile for so many years.
It is a God, friend. Yes, a God that brings us once again victory.
Come, raise your hands and voice. Pray to the gods that your brother enters the city triumphant.
Good. I have felt the warmth of your embrace. Later, I'll have plenty of time to repay. Old man, you've come just at the right time. Tell me, how can I punish my father's murderer and my mother who share such a sinful marriage with him? Tell me, whom should I speak? I wonder if there is anyone in the city who supports me, or is everything lost, just like our fate? Tell me, who should I speak with? And should I do the deed during the day or night? Which road should I take to get to my enemies?
No one, my son, no one loves a person who's in trouble. Now, it's a hard thing to hope for. Find a friend who will stand with you both in joy and in sorrow. Now, you too have little hope, for you have left no hope for your friends. So listen to me. Now, whether or not you gain back your father's palaces and lands rests wholly now in your hands and in the hands of fate.
Tell me, how will I achieve this?
Well, only by killing both Aegisthus and your mother Clytemnestra.
This is the glory that I've come for. Tell me, how will I get it?
Well, no, you mustn't enter the palace walls. That way you'll achieve nothing.
Are there many well-armed guards there?
Oh, yes. Jesus is scared of you, and he never sleeps.
Right. What next, old man?
Listen, I have just thought of something.
I will hear any good suggestion.
I saw Jesus on the way here.
Happy news, this. Where did you see him?
Well, back there at the paddocks where his horses graze.
What was he doing there? I can see a ray of hope among all our difficulties.
I think he was preparing the festival of the nymphs.
For the sake of his current children or for one on the way?
Oh, I know no more than this, that he was preparing to kill a bull.
Were there many slaves with him, or was he alone?
Oh, no argives, just his household slaves.
Will anyone recognize me if they see me, old man?
Oh, well, no. None of the slaves ever saw you before.
If I succeed, will they come to my side?
Yes, that is the way of the slaves, and this will be to your benefit.
Tell me, how will I get close enough to him?
Well, you must go past him when he is performing the sacrifice.
Yes, the paddocks are by the side of the road, I believe, aren't they?
Yes. Now, once he sees you, he will invite you to his table to share in the sacrifice meat.
God willing, I shall prove to be bitter company at his feast.
Once you do that, you must proceed as fate dictates.
Quite right. Where's my mother now?
Oh, she is in Argos right now. But this evening she will join her husband at the feast.
I wonder why she didn't come with her husband.
Oh, she's scared of the people's disparaging gossip.
I know, everyone treats her with suspicion.
True. Everyone hates a sinful woman.
So tell me, how will I kill them both, without the murder of the one reach the ears of the other?
I will make preparations for the mother's death.
Yes, I think fate will help in this.
Let this old sir help with both deaths.
Have you found a way to murder her?
Oh, friend, go and tell Clytemnestra that I've just given birth to a boy and that I'm lying in the birth bed.
Well, when shall I say you gave birth? A while ago or just now?
10 days ago, after the purification I was supposed to have.
And this will bring about her death?
The moment she hears of my delivery, she'll come.
Well, why? Do you think she is concerned about you?
Yes, she'll feel sorry for my poor baby.
Perhaps. But let us get back to our other matter.
If she comes, she'll die for certain.
Now, let us suppose that she is approaching your threshold.
It'll be like walking into Hades.
If I could only see that, then I could happily die.
But first, old friend, go and take her as
To where Jesus is preparing the sacrifice.
Yes, and then go and tell my mother what I've just told you.
I will. It'll be like it's coming out of your own mouth.
To your work now. You have the first murder to perform.
Let someone show me the way.
Oh, my heart will show you the way.
Zeus, God of my ancestors, protector, send our enemies away.
Hideous our pitiful predicament.
Oh, pity them. They are of your house.
And do you hear a mother of the Mycenaean altars?
Give us victory if we seek her justly.
Have them avenge their father.
You, Father, you've been sent unjustly to wander beneath the earth.
And to you, Reverend Earth, to whom I stretch my hand.
Have them. Have the dear children.
Make all of the dead our allies.
All of those, dear Father, who helped you defeat the Trojans.
And all those who hate the sinful murderers.
Did you hear how we've suffered by our mother?
Oh, your father hears everything. I know. It's time for us to go.
Aegisthus must fall. I'll tell you this in advance that you know it's like this. If you fall and get killed, then I too will fall and get killed. Don't even think of me as being alive. I shall strike my heart with a double-edged sword. Now I'll go and prepare the house. And when your sign comes and it's good, then the house too will rejoice. But if it's bad, it will suffer the opposite. That's all I have to say.
I know.
That's why you must be brave. You, ladies, when the result of this battle arrives, you must tell it to me quickly. I will be standing with a knife in the hand and the ready. I will never let my enemies insult me if they win.
When white-haired folk are met in Argos about the fold, a story lingereth yet, a voice of the mountains old, that tells of the Lamb of gold. A lamb from another mouth, with a golden crown and meat and pain, holding the keys of the world, or to trace his feet. His wild reed pipes he blew, and the reeds were filled with peace, and a joy of singing before him flew over the fiery fleece. And up on the basin rock, as the herald cries he. Gather ye, gather, O Argive folk, the King's sign to see, the sign of the blessed of God, for he that this hath born. Therefore the dance of praise they trod in the Atrean brethren's hall. They opened before men's eyes that which was hid before, the chambers of sacrifice, the dark on the golden door, fires of the altar floor, and night was every street, and the voice of the muses tree. All the lyrics was left in sleep, suddenly strange songs and a voice that grew. Come to your King, ye folk, my mind is the golden was dark, thy empty spoke, full of when the world was still. Baby brothers spread he lay, and wanted to work his will, and they sold the lamb away. And what your folks should give, and call them about his own, and show that side of the king to me, the ways of the horns of gold. Then the world was changed, and farther where they reigned, shone the golden stars glowing, and the great sun stood to reign in the glory of his knowing. Though from that day forth the east spent the sunshine on his breast, and the flaming day in heaven, that the dim ways of the west, dried to be lost and even. When the Lord of the reed, Lord, and business is seen, right from the south unslinging, for the news that was sweet, for the rain that comes. did you hear that sound? It was like the thunder of Zeus coming from beneath the ground.
Or was it some whole fantasy tricking us?
There! The wind brings clear sounds. My Lady Elektra, come out here!
What is it, my friends? What's going on? What news from Orestes?
I don't know, but I've just heard the groans of death.
I hear them also. In the distance, but I do hear them.
Groans have far to travel, but they're clear enough.
I wonder whose groans these are. Those of my Orestes or of Aegisthus.
I don't know. The voices are many and mixed.
You're telling me I should die. Why am I waiting?
Wait and see your fate clearly.
No. The enemy has won. Where are the heralds?
They'll appear soon. It's a hard thing to kill a king.
Glorious victory, daughters of Mycene! I bring news of Orestes. Victory to all! I thank the gods!
Thank the gods!
Agamemnon's murder, Aegisthus is lying dead on the ground.
Praise be the hero!
Who are you and how do I know you're telling the truth?
Don't you recognize me? I'm your brother's servant.
Ah, my dear man, fear prevented me from recognizing you. Now I remember you. So, what were you saying? Is it true that my father's most hated murderer is dead?
When we set off from the house, we took the 2 carriage roads, and eventually we arrived at the spot where the famous king of Mycene was. He was in a cool, fresh garden, picking myrtle branches to make a girdle for his head. As soon as he saw us, he called out, "Greetings, friends! Who are you? Where'd you come from? What is your city?" To that Orestes answered him, "We are Thessalonians, and we are going to the land of Aphios to perform sacrifice to Olympian Zeus." Hearing all this, Aegisthus then told us, "For now, you'll stay with me, and you'll die with me. I'm sacrificing the bull to the nymphs. If you get up with dawn, you wouldn't have lost any time. Hey, let's go on to my house. Come on. It's not right to refuse me." That's what it said. And so by taking us by the hand, he led us into that house. When we got inside, he shouted, "Hurry! Someone bring some water for our strangers to purify themselves so they can stand next to us at the altar by the lustral basin." But Orestes said to him, "My lord Aegisthus, only just now we purify ourselves with the waters of the river. If it is proper for strangers, my lord's king, to stand next to local folk, then we will not refuse. We will happily do so." So they left it at that. Then the slaves who accompanied Aegisthus as to protect him put their spears down and started preparing for the sacrifice. They brought a vessel to catch the blood of the slaughter and the cutting of the meat. Others brought panaries, others lit up the altar, and others again set the cauldrons ready. Yet the whole house was echoing with the sounds of the work. Then your mother's husband Aegisthus took some barley flour and sprinkled it over the altar, saying, "Nymphs of the rock, make it possible for me and my wife, daughter of the famous Tyndares, who is now back at home, to perform many more sacrifices for you to always be as happy, and for our enemies to live in misery." He said all this referring to you and Orestes, but my lord was praying the opposite, which was to regain his father's palace. Then he just took a sacrificial knife, one with a straight blade, from the pannery, and with it started cutting some of the calf. With his right hand, he threw the hair on the holy flame, and with the help of his servants who lifted that animal up in the air, he killed it. Then he said this to your brother: "I say a Thessalonian prides themselves with their ability to slaughter a bull and to break a horse. Come on, friend, take this here knife and show us what a Thessalonian can really do." Then Orestes chose a strong Doric blade, and with it he threw his beautiful cape over his shoulders, calling Pallades to help him, sending all others away. He stretched his arms, and grabbing the leg of that calf, he just laid bare to the white flesh. It took less time to skin that cat than a runner takes to run 2 circles around a horse's stadium. Then he stretched them flanks open. Justus then took the innards in his hand and began inspecting. Couldn't see the liver loop or the valves of the heart, and the gallbladder gave him the truth about the evil he was about to encounter. He frowned, and my lord asked him, "What's wrong? Why do you look so worried?" To that Justus replied, "Stranger, I feel some trap from abroad. Agamemnon's son is my enemy, and I hate him more than anyone else." To that Orestes replied, "You, the king of a nation, and you're afraid of someone in exile? Let us get on with the feast. Will someone bring me a thin cleaver instead of this Doric blade? I'll cut the animal through the chest so we can eat the entrails." So Orestes took that cleaver and began cutting through the animal. In the meantime, Justus was carefully examining each part of them entrails, and just as he was bent over, Orestes stood on his toe and hit him in the spine, crushing all his joints. But just his whole body shook up and down, and he groaned wildly in agony of his bloody death.
Oh. Is he okay?
The slaves saw what happened and immediately reached for their spears. They in great numbers to do battle with 2. But Orestes and Pallades stood bravely in their tracks, shaking their own spears. Your brother spoke to them, saying, "I've not come here as an enemy of my own people. Rather, I've come to punish the murder of my father. I am luckless Orestes. So you, old servants of my father's, do not kill me." They heard his words and drew back their spears. An old servant of your father's recognized him, and immediately there was enormous joy. And a girdle was placed around Orestes' head. Orestes is now on his way, not to show you Medusa's head, but the head of a man you hated so much, that of Aegisthus. The blood of his murder has paid for the blood of your father's murder.
Thank God! Raise your feet to a dance, dear girl! Jump really high into the sky! Like feet like that of a fawn! Dance, my dear girl! Dance!
Your brother has won a wreath, a better reward than that won by those athletes who win by the wonderful Olympians. Come, sing the victory song to go with my dance.
Oh, light! Oh, play with the sun on his chariot, and oh, earth! Oh, night! Once I could only look at you, but now my eyes are free to see because my father's murderer is gone. Right, I shall run inside and bring out whatever adornments I have in there, so as to adorn the head of my victorious brother.
You go bring the adornments for your brother. We won't stop our dance, so loved by the muses. Now our first kings shall rule again, having justly destroyed this evil lot. Come, let the breath of a flute accompany my joy.
O glorious Orestes, son of the glorious man who won a victory against the Trojans, accept this garland for your hair. It was not a vain marathon you ran before you returned, but you have killed Aegisthus, murderer of our father. And you too, Pyrrhus, his companion in battle, reared by a most reverend father. Here is a garland for you. Take it from my hand. You have earned an equal reward in this battle. May I always see you two happy.
First, thank the gods, Elektra, who guided this great fate. And then you can praise me for being a servant of the gods and of fate. I have killed Aegisthus, and I have come here. These are not empty words, but deeds. I say this to you, so that you may believe me. I bring him to you, dead. If you want, you can throw him to the wild beasts. or impale him high upon a stake to be devoured by the birds of prey, children of the ether. He is your slave now, and no longer, as they used to call him, your master.
I hesitate, but still I want to say.
Say what? Speak. There's nothing to fear.
I'm afraid they'll say I dishonor the dead.
No one will speak ill of you.
The city has an ill will towards us. Argos will shun us.
Come, dear sister, speak whatever you wish. This man's deadly hatred has separated us.
Fine, then I shall speak. What charge should I make first? What charge should I utter last, and what words should I put in the middle? Yet I have never stopped whispering to every dawn those things I wanted to shout at you above if I were free from my own fears. Well, now I am free, and I shall throw at you all the evil deeds you committed while you were alive. You've destroyed my life and his life, and made orphans of us both by killing our beloved father without any injustice done by us to you. You, who have never fought the Trojans, married my mother improperly and murdered her husband, leader of the Greek army. You were such a fool thinking that marrying my mother and dishonoring my father's bed that she would stay faithful to you. Yet everyone should know this. When a man seduces another man's wife with secret love and then is forced to marry her, he is a fool to think that she'd stay honest with him if she wasn't with her first husband. You lived in misery yet didn't suspect it, and felt instead that you were happy. Of course, both of you knew your union was unholy. Unholy marriage, unlawful husband. You two being evil hid each other's misery. She hid yours and you hid hers. All the Argives would say, look, there goes Clytemnestra's husband, and now there goes the Aegisthus' wife. It's a great shame to see the house being ruled by the woman and not by the man. I turn away from any child whom the city calls not a father's son, but a mother's. This is because, if the man marries a woman who is of a better status than his, and far more noble than him, then the citizen will never speak about him, but about his wife. And you, Aegisthus, because of your lack of intelligence, fell into a big trap, which is that you thought the great wealth made you important. That wealth is not something you can have for long. A man's strength is his nature, not his wealth, because that is what stays with us, and that is what defeats our troubles. When the unjust joy falls into sinful ways, it blossoms in the house for a very short while before it flies away again. I'm not going to talk openly about your behavior towards women. A virgin must not do so. But if I speak of them in hidden terms, they'll still be easy to understand. You dishonored them because they said you had royal palaces and beauty. So far as I'm concerned, I don't want my husband to have the face of a virgin, but that of a real man. Such are the men who serve Ares the war god. The spoiled children are only for decoration. So then die, Aegisthus. You've shown yourself a mindless man, and it's now time to pay for that. Let every criminal like him know that just because his first steps went according to his wishes, that he has been defeated by justice before his life's end.
Justice has enormous strength. His deeds were horrible, and hardly he paid for them before you and before Orestes.
Now then, you, servants, take his corpse indoors and hide it in the dark so that my mother won't see it before she meets her own death.
Now enough of this. Let us speak of other matters.
What's this? Are these his allies from Mycenae?
No. It is my mother.
She is coming straight into my net. And look how proudly she moves in her finery and inside her chariot.
What shall we do then? slaughter our mother.
Have you succumbed to pity the moment you saw her?
Ah, but how could I kill the woman who has given birth to me and nurtured me?
In the same way she killed our father.
Phoebus Apollo, what a thoughtless oracle you've given me!
If Apollo is thoughtless, then who are the wise and knowledgeable?
Apollo! You shouldn't have given me the oracle to kill my mother.
What could
It's
you...
not proper!
What could you suffer by avenging your father?
I've come an innocent, and I shall leave a matricide!
If you don't stand by your father, you'll be guilty according to the gods.
But my mother... I will not be guilty of killing my mother.
And if you don't avenge your father?
Some evil spirit must have spoken the oracle. An evil spirit, disguised as a god.
Sitting on the holy tripod? I don't think so.
It's hard for me to believe that these are proper oracles.
Now don't hesitate and behave like a coward.
Shall I concoct the same trap for her?
Kill her as you've killed Aegisthus.
Fine. I'm going inside. Terrible the deed I shall begin. Frightening the deeds I shall accomplish. If this is liked by the gods, then so be it. My battle is bitter, not sweet.
Greetings, Queen of Argus, daughter of Tyndareus, and sister of the two sons of Zeus. The twins Castor and Pollux, who live among the stars and in the blazing ether, and whose grace it is to save men from the sea's harsh waves. Greetings! I revere you as I do the blessed gods for your great wealth and your great joy. It is time, my queen, to serve you.
Trojan servants, take my hand while I descend. The temples of the gods were splendid to Phrygian spoils, but I kept these servants for myself. Small gift, an ornament to my palace, a replacement of the daughter whom I've lost.
Allow me to give you my hand, mother. I, who you thrown out of my father's house, and now live in that abandoned hut over there. Let me hold your blessed hand.
Don't bother. My servants are here.
Why not? You've thrown me out of my palaces like a slave when you emptied them of all life. And so I too became like them, a slave and a fatherless orphan.
That was your father's way of thinking. Always acting against his own folk. He plotted against those he should love and not kill. Let me tell you all about them. When a woman gets a bad name, her tongue becomes somewhat bitter. Though not in my case. Learn the full story first, and if then I deserve it, do by all means hate me. Otherwise, why hold a grudge against me? When Tyndareus gave me to your father, it wasn't so that I would be murdered or that my children be murdered. He tricked my daughter Iphigenia and told her that he would give her to Achilles as his wife. And then he took her from our palace to Aulis, where the ships were stuck. And there, he stretched her over the altar and cut her beautiful white neck. Now, had he done this because he were trying to save a city, or to save his family, or his house, or his other children, then everyone might have forgiven him, sacrificing one for the sake of many. But no. my daughter because Helen was insatiably lustful and her husband did not have the courage to punish her. That is why your father killed my daughter. And even though he did me so much wrong, I was not overcome with rage, nor did I want to murder the man. Then he came home from Troy with that possessed virgin prophetess Cassandra to share our bed and our halls. I'll not deny it. Women are mindless. But when her husband wanders away from his wife, then she too will try copying him and finding another lover. And then the whole city criticizes us, women. Whereas no one says a thing to the man who caused the problem in the first place. Would I have to kill Orestes because they had taken Menelaus, my sister's husband? What would your father say to that? Why should he not be the one to die? He killed my daughter, so why should it be that I die? I took the only path I could. I took the side of his enemies. Which of your father's friends would have come to my aid when I killed your father? Say what you like. Speak your mind freely. Show me where the injustice in killing your father is.
You spoke justly. But such justice brings shame. Because if a woman is wise, she will always forgive her husband. And I personally treat with disdain any woman who does not think so. Mother, remember your final words. You said I could speak freely.
And I say it again, my child, I do not deny it.
Will you hurt me after you hear me?
No. I welcome your words, whatever they are.
Well then, I shall speak. And this is my prologue. If only you had a better brain, Mother. I won't deny that people praise you and Helen for your beauty, but both of you were born thoughtless and unworthy sisters of Castor and Pollux. I'm saying this because one of you, your sister, was stolen willingly and then vanished. You then killed the best of Greek men with the excuse that he murdered your daughter. Mother. No one knows you as well as I do. The moment your husband left your house, and well before the decision was made to kill Iphigenia, you stood in front of your mirror combing your auburn hair. A woman who cares only after her looks as soon as her husband leaves is not an honorable woman. What's the point? There's no reason for her to be showing her face outside her house unless she's looking to do some mischief. I also know that you, of all the Greek women, were only happy when the Trojans were winning. And if they were losing, your face would frown because you didn't want Agamemnon to return. But of course you had to contain yourself. Because my father was a much better man than Aegisthus was, and that's why Greece chose him to be her army's leader. Then, since your sister Helen behaved so appallingly, you had every opportunity to gain great glory. Because for the good people, the evil acts are a lesson to give themselves a chance to reflect. And if, as you say, my father has killed Iphigenia, how am I and my brother at fault? Once you killed your husband, why didn't you give his houses to me and Orestes, rather than as a dowry to your new husband? These were not things that belonged to you in the first place. And has your new husband gone to exile in payment for your son's exile? Or was he killed in payment for my death, which he caused doubly, even though I live a life harder than that of my sister? If it is a just thing that murder must be repaid by murder, then Orestes and I will kill you as payment for our father's murder. Because if the first first deed is just, then so is the second. He who marries a woman because of her wealth or her status is a fool and will end up with a bad woman. It's far better to have a well-behaved, humble woman in the house, even if she is of a low rank, than an arrogant one from an established family.
One gets the woman chosen by fate, not by himself. I know, because I can see that some people are happy in their marriages, and others are not.
It has always been in your nature, my child, to love your father. That's how it often is. Some children love their fathers more than their mothers, and again, some children love their mothers more. I do not hold it against you. Nor do I feel good about my own deeds. How often you look unwashed and so badly dressed. How did I let my rage and misery make me take it out on my husband?
Your sides are related, Mother. It's impossible now to heal your evil deed. My father is dead. Fine. But why don't you bring your son back from exile, who's wandering from one city to the next like a vagabond?
I'm afraid. I think only of myself and not of Orestes. I hear he is outraged by his father's murder.
So then why do you constantly push your husband against me?
That is in his nature. You too are arrogant.
Because I hurt. But I shall hold my anger in the future.
Then he will no longer be harsh towards you.
He's arrogant too because he lives in my house.
You see? You start fresh hatreds now.
I shall be quiet. I fear him in my own way.
Enough of these words. Why have you called me here?
I have given birth, and I thought you would have heard about it. I want you to perform the appropriate sacrifices to thank the gods. I don't know how to do this since I've never given birth before. It's the baby's 10th night, and custom declares that sacrifices must be performed.
That is not my job. That is the job of the woman who delivered your baby.
I delivered the baby myself. I was my midwife.
Is your house so empty and without neighbors?
No one wants to have poor friends.
Since the baby's days are complete, I will go and make the sacrifices. But once I have done this favor for you, and I must go to the farms where my husband is making sacrifice to the nymphs. Trojan servants, take the horses to graze. When I am finished with the sacrifices, come back. I too must thank my husband.
Come. Come into my house. Be careful of the soot on the wall, Mother. Yes, they dirty your gowns. Because you'll have to perform the sacrifice just as declared by the gods. The basket is ready. The knife with which he has killed the bull is sharpened. There by his side you will also fall. He'll be your husband in Hades as he was up here, beneath the sun when you shared his bed. This is the favor I'm doing for you, and with it it will repay the death of my father.
Did you hear the cry from within the house?
I too cry for you that your own children are murdering you. When the fated hour comes, the gods disperse the just punishment.
The dreadful punishment now strikes back at you. But with dreadful deeds, you struck your husband, poor creature.
There they are, steeped in the blood of their mother, whom they've only just now murdered, the cause of her wild cries. Oh, there is nor ever was a house more wretched than that of the house of Tantalus.
Earth and Zeus, seer of all man's work, look now upon these murderous, unholy deeds. Look at these two bodies lying on the ground. Both were struck down by my own knife. Both recompense for the evil deeds they've committed to me.
Your suffering is sorrowful, my brother, and I am its cause, because I fell at the furious blaze upon my mother, the woman who gave birth to me.
Fate, your fate, Clytemnestra. How cruel the fury of your suffering. What cruel deeds you did. What cruel deed? Even more cruel. Returned to you from your own children, but it was a just payment for the murder of their father.
Phoebus Apollo, you prophesied justice with the dark oracle. But the pains you've given me are fully visible. You declared that I would have a bloody fate away from Greece. Where else should I go? Who is the God-fearing man? Who is the friend who would turn to look kindly upon me now? Me! Man who murdered his mother.
What festivals, what dance will have me join in? What marriage? What husband will have me in his bridal bed?
Again, like the wind, you changed direction. Now your thoughts are right. Now, not before. And you, daughter, did your brother a grievous wrong. You made him perform an act he was unwilling to perform.
Did you see how the poor woman tore open her gown and showed me her breast as I was about to strike? How the poor wretch dropped her legs to the ground, those legs through which I was born. And I snatched her hair!
I know the awful pain you felt when you heard the pitiable cries of the woman who gave birth to you.
Through her groans, she stretched out her arms to me and cried, "My son, I beg you." She hung from my neck, my sword at her throat.
Poor woman, how did you have the courage to watch your mother's blood spill as she was dying?
I used my cape to cover my eyes. I plunged my sword into her neck.
And I urged you on, my brother, and held the sword with you.
You have committed a most atrocious crime.
Come now, cover our mother's body with her gowns. Hide her wounds. There, mother. You bore children so that they may kill you.
Both loved and hated. Let us cover her with these gowns.
The misery of this palace has reached its peak. What's this? Do I see gods or spirits above the house? This is no path for mortals. Or do they appear to the eyes of men?
Son of Agamemnon, listen to us. We, the Dioscuri, your mother's brothers, speak to you. I am Castor, and this is my twin brother, Pallas. No sooner had we saved a ship from a wild sea, and we came to Argos, because we witnessed the murder of our sister, your mother.
She was punished justly, but you acted wrongly.
Apollo. Yes, Apollo. Who is my master, so I shall not say too much. Even though Apollo is a wise god, he has given you unwise advice. But we must accept his commands.
Do what Zeus and fate have declared for you. Let Pleiades have Elektra as his wife, and let him take her to his home. You must leave Argos. You cannot step foot on this land, since you are a matricide. The fearsome goddesses, the dog-eyed Keres will hound you, and in your frenzy you'll be wandering from place to place.
When you reach Athens, embrace the sacred statue of Pallas Athena. The snakes upon the dog-eyed Keres will shudder, but Athena will prevent them from touching you by placing her shield that has the Gorgon's head over you. There is a rock there, belonging to Ares, where the gods set to judge for the first time the murder of Euripides by hard-hearted Ares himself. Because Euripides, Poseidon's son, raped Ares' daughter. This is why this place is where the gods do the judging, and it is most sacred and most just. To this place you too must run, so they may judge the murder you've committed. The results of this hearing will be votes cast in equal number, and this will save you.
This is because Apollo will take the blame, since it was his bad oracle that sent you to kill your mother. And so, for the generations to come, there will be this law. When the votes are equal on both sides, the defendant shall be declared innocent. So then, these fearsome goddesses, becoming disconsolate by this decision, will fall into a deep chasm near the hill, which will become a holy temple for the believers. You must live in an Arcadian city, near the stream of Alpheus, near the temple of Zeus the Lysis. The city will be named after you, Orestes. These are the things I have to tell you. The Argives will bury Odysseus' corpse. As for your mother, she will be buried by Helen and Menelaus. Menelaus has just returned to Napoleon after he had destroyed Troy.
Helen has just returned from Proteus' house in Egypt. She has never gone to Troy. This was a trick of Zeus. He sent her image to Troy, so that many mortals would find their gruesome death. As for he should take Elektra, who is now both a wife and a virgin, from the land of the Greeks, and bring her to his own home. As for your supposed brother-in-law, take him to Phocis and grant him great wealth. Finally, you, Orestes, should pass quickly through the isthmus and go to the happy city of Kikopia, Athens' acropolis.
Because once you shed away from you the effects of ill-fated murder, you will live happily, and be freed of tribulations.
Sons of Zeus, may I speak?
You can. You are not polluted by the murder.
May I speak as well, sons of Tyndareus?
You too. I blame Apollo for this murder.
How is it that you two, who are gods and siblings of the murdered woman, did not cast the black spirits out of the palace?
Fate and necessity guided that which needed to happen.
They and Apollo's bad oracle.
And me? What oracle of Apollo declared that I should be my mother's murderer?
Similar deeds and similar fates, as well as an ancestral curse, ruined both of you.
My sister hath only found you after so many years, yet I must leave immediately, and forever miss the warmth of your love.
Besides the fact that she must leave Greece, she has both a husband and a home. Her suffering is not bitter.
Yet what else other than leaving one's home could be worthy of grief?
I must leave my father's palace immediately, and submit to strangers for the murder of my mother.
Be brave. You will eventually reach the city of Pallas Athena. Have courage.
Hug me tightly, my brother, because our mother's fatal curses are sending us away from our home.
Hold me close and hug me, Elektra. Cry as you would cry upon a grave.
Even for the gods, it is a hard thing to hear your words. I and all the gods in the heavens pity the suffering mortals.
I shall never see you again.
Nor will I ever see your eyes again.
These are your last words.
Goodbye, Argos, my city. And you too, women of my city.
Dear sister, are you leaving already?
I am leaving, my eyes steeped in tears.
Go, Pallades! Go in happiness! Marry Elektra.
These two will take care of their marriage. As for you, Orestes, run to Athens to save your life.
The dog-eyed spirits are approaching.
They're right behind you, haunting you. These dark, dreaded spirits, shaking their snakes. They feed on intolerable pain.
Now we will rush to the Sicilian Sea to save the ships from the crashing waves.
When we are flying through the ether, we cannot help the lawless we save from tribulations. Only those who love the sacred and the just. Let no one perform unjust acts, nor travel with the faithless who stomp on their oath. I, a god, say this to the mortal.
She's not real, but